Shariravan Manobiryat
Shariravan Manoviryat
Karma Parabhatenara
Karma Parabhatenara
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Panchayate Tasya Hetavaha
Panchayate Tasya Hetava
Shariravan Manobiryat
Shariravan Manoviryat
Karma Prarabhatenara
Karma Parabhatenara
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Panchayate Tasya Hetavaha
Panchayate Tasya Hetava
Shariravan Manobiryat
Shariravan Manoviryat
Dharma Prarabhatenara
Karma Parabhatenara
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Nyayam Va Viparitam Va
Panchayate Tasya Hetavaha
Panchayate Tasya Hetava
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs, by his body, mind, or speech, is caused by these 5 factors. Purport. The words right and wrong are very significant in this verse. Right work is work done in terms of the prescribed directions in the scriptures. And wrong work is work done against the principles of the scriptural injunctions. But whatever is done requires these 5 factors for its complete performance. Om Gyanacharandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmalitangena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. More and more people are feeling uncomfortable with the possibility that there is such a thing as right and wrong action. It can sound quite old-fashioned. Even in India, people are wanting to get away from these tyrannies of old folklore, they may think. What is right, what is wrong is up to you. You have to believe in yourself. Otherwise you have something very dreaded. You have a disease more dreaded than AIDS or cancer. You have low self-esteem. You have to be confident that you can get the job of material existence done. As one recently deceased celebrity scientist, Stephen Hawking, said, why should you be like a little child, cowering in fear of some overarching structure of right and wrong? Why should you be like a little child afraid of the dark? Others say, why do you feel the need to resolve the mysteries of life by adhering to one dogma, one encapsulated truth? Just accept that many possibilities can be there. No one really knows. And get on with your life. Find your own meaning. Maybe some of you here have tried that. May sound very appealing. When I'm doing outreach events for newcomers, you all are not newcomers, but for complete newcomers, they often nod their head in agreement. Yes, yes. Now you're talking, Swami. We came to the right place. It's up to us to make our own meaning. In India, they're more clever about it. Instead of saying it's up to us to make our own meaning, they say, well, there are many gods, and just pick the one you want, and when you want, which is the same thing as saying it's all up to me. One very famous French philosopher stated, don't try to lead me. Don't try to follow me. Just walk together with me through the chaos. Oh, sounds very profound, doesn't it? I often tell, especially the guys, I say, you want to impress a girl when you take her to a cafe? Just say this. And she'll think you're really deep and philosophically profound. Don't try to lead me. Don't try to follow me. You can try it on your wife, but it won't work, huh?
Maybe if she forgets tonight, then I can try it later.
Oh, she's here. Don't try to lead me. Don't try to follow me. Just walk together with me through the chaos. When I say that, most people nod their heads. Deep, profound. So this idea that you have to conform to some overarching standard of behavior. Krishna spells it out in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Pravritam cha, navritam cha, janana vida asura. Those who are depraved, they have no idea what to do or what not to do. So you would say, well, what do you mean? No idea what to do or not to do. I have my ideas. I have my standards. Most people will say about themselves that I'm not the best and I'm not the worst. There are people who are better than me, and there are people who are worse than me. That's just the way it is. Reminds me of an event a few years ago in Australia when they were about to have an election. It's a parliamentary system, so whatever party wins chooses the prime minister. So one of the main candidate for one party, right before the election, it was discovered that on a visit to New York City, he went to a lap dancing club and emerged at 5 a.m. in the morning. So there was headlines in all the papers in Australia. And then they reached out to him for a comment. Is this true? And he just said, yeah, I got a bit juiced up that night, acted like a goose, but I told my wife. And then he gave the comment that immortalized him. He said, what do you want out of me? I'm no holy Joe. His popularity soared. This is the leader we want. He's no holy Joe. He's just like any man, wants to get juiced a bit at night, Yeah, that's our prime minister. Of course, we know in the USA such things don't happen. But anyway, the leaders are all pure. So this shows how people like the idea of just freedom from any constricting moral codes. Here's the concept. Who can swallow the notion of a cosmic chaperone? You know what a chaperone is? Oh, it's okay. It's old-fashioned. Like in the old days when a guy would take out a girl, often the girl's parents would say, yes, this is in America, in Europe, maybe up until 1960, the girl's mother would say there has to be an adult accompanying you two. Of course, no one would think of that now. It does sound strange. But that's called a chaperone, an escort. So, the last thing we want with our uncontrolled mind and senses and the lifestyle such lack of control produces, the last thing we want is a cosmic chaperone, a cosmic escort. God accompanying you everywhere. If there is God, he should be in heaven minding his own business and leave us to have all the fun, right? He should just work creating the world literally or figuratively in 6 days, and then on the 7th day he has to rest. Let him do that. Let him send his only son. But that God enjoys, we would feel very threatened by that. And that the Supreme issues directives that guide our enjoyment. Not ready for that. We'll offer praises and hymns to God, but we really don't want the Supreme to interfere with our life. It's too much. Just like when it was time for the advent of Lord Krishna in this world. Kamsa's advisors. He was a victim of bad association. He was bad enough himself, but made worse by his associates. And they told him, you can do whatever you like. Take action immediately. Don't delay. The demigods are taking birth everywhere. You can do what you want. Kill all the children, newborn children for miles around. You've got to make sure that if Krishna has taken birth, he'll be wiped out. As for retribution, a reaction, why should you worry about it? No one can stop you. Brahma? What is Lord Brahma doing? He's deep in meditation. He won't bother you. What is Shiva doing? He's performing severe austerities, penances. He won't bother you. And what about Vishnu? You don't have to worry about Vishnu because he's trapped in everyone's heart and can't get out. So that way, Kamsa's advisors told him, you can do whatever you like. That sounds like the real purpose of progressive religion. God gives his blessings to you to find meaning in your own way. If there is a God, that's the way he should arrange things. In this way, when we read about things that should be done and things that should be done, right and wrong, it may sound very antiquated to us. The whole yoga system, at its very beginning, is about things to do and things not to do. But somehow though we feel restricted by this notion of cosmic governance, cosmic law and order. Although we're busily receiving reactions all the time. What we call progressive life, modern life, advanced life, basically is the inability to see past immediate causes and take into account the ultimate cause. This is what Krishna is speaking about here, that there is the ultimate sanctioner. There are various factors of action, and ultimately the Supersoul is sanctioning, permitting everything. You can't make a move without the sanction of the Supersoul. Earlier in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattasmritir jnanam apohanamja. From me comes all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. That means even if you want to forget Krishna, you need his help. Do you ever think about that? You're always thinking, no doubt, as nice devotees, that, please, Krishna, help us remember you. But if you wanted to forget Krishna, you need his help also. For a devotee, Krishna helps you to forget your material desires. So much so to the extent that your friends and relatives may be astonished. What's happened to you? I remember as a newcomer to bhakti in this lifetime, living on 90th Central Park West. I would roam Manhattan, going to the best clubs, cafes, theater. I thought, this is the life. New York City, the center of the universe. I just jump on a train and immediately I'm at the finest entertainment, the finest cultural events, the finest concerts. My friends, they really appreciate it. Wow, he knows where all the good times are. But then I didn't tell them. I started reading Bhagavad-gita, Nectar Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Upanishad, all the books that were available then. Bhagavatam, in its Western printed version, was not available. So I never told my friends. One day, my best friend blurted out, "What's come over you? I've got to find a new best friend." He just detected, like, where is the enjoying spirit? He felt threatened. So as Srila Prabhupada explains in one Bhagavatam purport in the 10th canto, the non-devotees are astonished. How have you forgotten your material desires? What's come over you? Some persons can actually feel threatened by that. Krishna helps the bhakti yogi forget material desires. But not everyone wants to forget their material desires, right? Those who are materialistic want to absorb themselves in material desires more and more. They can't do it without Krishna's help. So this is how tiny and insignificant we are. Even if you want to forget Krishna, you need his help. You might think, well, if I don't want to practice bhakti, if I don't want to be Krishna conscious, it's my business. All right, Krishna, enough of you. Enough of chanting, enough of reading Bhagavad-gita, enough of worrying about associating with devotees. But you have to have Krishna's help to forget him. This is the complete understanding of mattasmritir jnanam apohanamcha. From me comes all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. You're not the ultimate deciding factor. There are other factors, yes, as you heard in text 14. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratag vidam. Vividascha pratak cheshta daivam chai vatra panchamam. So number one, the place of action. That's the body. So please view your body as a action place. And then there's the performer, the soul, who acts within the body. Then there are the various senses, which are instruments for your activities, and the different types of endeavor. Oh, and then ultimately the Supersoul. But without the Supersoul's ultimate sanction, you can't do anything, because we are too tiny. When we start to understand how tiny we are, our insignificance really astounds us. Just like life in New York City. It takes drive, grit, determination, right? You've got to keep your place in the race. We were talking about this, I think, Friday night, last night. A gathering of devotees from Eastern Europe. New York is very demanding. You've got to produce. You've got to keep your place in the race. You can't fall behind. You've got to be number 1 or number 2, minimum number 3, right? But to be in the back of the pack, you're going to go nowhere, right? You've got to compete. And what's the worst thing that can happen to you in a race? Who knows?
Accident.
Huh?
Someone can hit you or break the car and break
Or break?
the car.
Accident.
You lose.
Foot race. No worse than losing a foot race.
You quit the
Fall.
race.
Giving up.
You fall. And what happens when you fall?
You get trampled.
Yes. You get trampled. That's the fear you have, right? So you've got to keep forging ahead. The modes of nature are very intense. You call it life in the big city. So naturally you feel it's on me. Everything's on my shoulders. I've got to succeed. There's no middle ground. Swim or sink. So you feel such pressure. Like the whole burden of my life is on my shoulders. People are cracking up because of this stress and strain. Did you know that? When I'm speaking at universities, I remind them that according to the World Health Organization, amongst all developed nations in the world, all first world nations in the world, the USA is one of the least happy. And when it comes to anxiety, it is number 1 by a wide margin. Number 1. No one else is near that championship status. I was explaining at the Bhakti Center this morning how the Gallup organization, they take polls on everything. So they were taking a worldwide survey of moment-to-moment happiness. According to mundane calculation, there are 2 ways of gauging happiness, predominantly 2 ways. One is moment-to-moment. Let's say, this is how psychologists do it. Those researching happiness. You have a cell phone, they send you a message. How do you feel right now? Press 1 or 2. 1 is for, I feel happy, 2, I'm not. So spontaneously throughout the day, they'll send you these and you respond. That way they can gauge your moment-to-moment happiness. But then there's something called the life evaluation, which is different. That means, how do you feel about the direction your whole life has been taking? So you could have been having a very bad week, but overall you think my life is moving in the direction I want it to move in. So that's called life evaluation happiness. But this survey is about moment-to-moment happiness. It found that the USA ranked number 25, 2 notches below Rwanda, where, 20 years ago or so, there was a massacre of 1 million people. So this pressure is becoming impossible to bear. The American Psychological Association has pointed out that the U.S. is on the verge of a stress-induced public health crisis. So on the one hand, you're forced to think you're the doer. You're the immediate and ultimate cause. It's all up to you. Be an adult. Don't be childish and say everything depends on the Supreme, the sanction of the Supreme. Stop inventing these tooth fairies and just shoulder your burden. But people are cracking up living in this way. At universities throughout the country, mental health is such an issue. Because the students are taught, you must succeed. The pressure is on you. But they can't handle the pressure. Last week I gave a talk at Temple University. My theme was thriving on anxiety. Utilizing anxiety for inner transformation resulting in outer change. In other words, everyone's in anxiety, so let's find out if we can positively use it. So 100 students came, and they were listening so intently. I usually just speak for 45 minutes or so, then take questions. But they sat there for 2 hours, transfixed. I said, well, I was thinking, well, I know that at this particular university, Temple, they're very attentive. It's a city university. It's not like an Ivy League school. It's nitty-gritty city, I guess like City University of New York or something like that. So I wondered, why are these students so attentive? Just staring at me, and I just went on for 2 hours, Kirtan and everything. Then later I found out that the professors in the International Relations Department, Religious Studies Department, and Psychology Department had told their students, you go to his lecture and we'll give you either 1 or 2 extra points on your grade evaluation for the whole course. So you have to take notes though. So I was wondering, the students are all there writing points. The point was, so I asked the students, why did your professors say like that? They said, because anxiety and stress is such a dominant factor. I had spoken there before in previous years, successively. And they liked my book, the latest one, Hiding an Unnatural Happiness. And so, get used to it. This is American life now. Unbearable stress, unbearable anxiety. This is progress. In the 10th canto, 4th chapter, text 27, you find a very wonderful verse. Damodar Vrata Maharaj pointed this out in a class at Radha Govinda Mandir, where we are told that foolishly people wrap themselves up analyzing immediate causes, and they can't see that there's an ultimate cause behind everything. So they blame immediate causes. They take pride in immediate causes. Just see what I did. but they can't see the ultimate sanctioner. In other words, they don't understand how dependent they are. It's like a little kid not understanding how the parents are taking care of the child. Assuming you had good parents, conventionally speaking, when you were 4 years old, were you in anxiety about whether the mortgage is being paid? Anyone here? Whether the car payments were being made? You were dependent. Everyone will tell you, you're too tiny to be worried about that. You're not supposed to be concerned with that. Because of, you would say, because of your age. Better said, is because of your dependency. Well, we don't like using that word, especially in the big city. You have to present yourself as being self-sufficient. The ultimate cause. Like when you go for a job interview, right? Yes, I can do it. Yes. Been there, done that. Yes, I've got experience. You present yourself as confident. You feel that the employer, the prospective employer, wants to see, are you upbeat? Are you with it? Are you switched on? And you present yourself in that way. I'm ready to slave for you. I'm ready to put my life in your hands for a paycheck. I know in Australia one devotee. He's in IT, and he has a lot of experience in IT. And he knows that there's a stereotype that many IT employers have, is that people from India are very hardworking, but they're not good team players. They just stay in their cubicle, and in their cubicle are pictures of the demigods, and they just focus on their own work, and they don't socialize, they don't eat what everybody else eats. And so although they're very expert, they're not convivial, socializing with the team, building relationships, going to bars after work, and bonding. So he knew they think like that. So he always, when he goes from contract to contract. So when he's applying for a new contract, he knows they're thinking like that. They want to see, are you one of those withdrawn, very conservative Indians? So he just shatters their conceptions. One human resources person in an interview asked him, so tell me, Ms. Frumbar, when your workday is over, what do you do? He said, what do I do? I go out on the street with my friends and I chant Hare Krishna. The HR person, oh. He said, oh, why do you do that? He said, because it clears out all the stress and makes it so the next morning I can come back to work completely fired up. So the employer said, wow, okay, we got a live wire here. However you do it, mate. As I say down under, however you do it, mate. Keep it up, okay, we'll hire you. So he knew how to manipulate that. He was truthful with them, and they were impressed by his enthusiasm. What do I do when the workday's over? I go out with my friends on the street and I chant Hare Krishna. He just blurted it out like that, full of enthusiasm. So the employers, they didn't care about his religious beliefs or whatever. Just, well, he's got gusto, he's got energy. Yeah, well, we can tap into that. You know? So this notion that we have to present ourselves, the pressure that we have to present ourselves as the ultimate doer is such a burden. So it's very refreshing when we read this section of Bhagavad Gita, which is echoing chapter 13. Because remember, chapter 18 is a conclusion, wrapping everything up. So, what was extensively explained in chapter 13 is now being quickly summarized. The 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me, Krishna says in text 13. Ultimately, it is the Supersoul, because we are too tiny to be the ultimate doer. And that's a very hard thing for us to accept. We're not all in our knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. But this idea of us not being the doer can be confusing. Let me give you an example, a true example. Did you know that during World War II, the Nazi propaganda minister, how to pronounce his German name, Goebbels, something like that, he would always carry a copy of Bhagavad Gita with him. Because he felt that Bhagavad Gita exonerated him for his concentration camp policies, in which countless persons were executed in the most horrible way. According to Bhagavad Gita, I'm not the doer. Final solution, I'm not the doer. So he would carry Bhagavad Gita with him, because in his deluded mind, he thought this exonerated him. I'm innocent. No one is a doer. As Krishna says, I don't slay or slay. I don't slay. It's just, it's not me. This obviously is a complete misrepresentation of Bhagavad Gita. What does Krishna say? 14th chapter. Karanam gunasangasa sadasad yoni janmasu. The cause is material nature, yes, and you have a particular body because of material nature. But we choose to identify with that body. In other words, material nature gives you the rope, but you hang yourself with it. Because you took the rope and hung yourself, you get the blame, even though material nature supplied the rope. But you say, oh no, I'm not the doer. The rope is coming from material nature. And ultimately everything is sanctioned by the Supersoul. But you get the blame because you're identifying with that body. And according to your desire, you're associating with material nature in different ways. And because of that association, guna sangha, things happen which you're going to get the blame for. Just like if you're walking around in a section of the city where there's a cholera outbreak. You didn't intend to get cholera, but if you're walking in that part of the city, you'll get the blame. You'll get cholera. So, in other words, you shouldn't be in that section of the city. But because you chose to associate with that section of the city, you come down with cholera. So it's your fault. You can't, oh, it's the city's fault. Why did I get cholera? What are you doing walking there? I remember some years ago, there was a situation in the city of Detroit. There's an island in the river between Detroit and Windsor, Canada. And there's a big park on this island. And to get to it, you take a bridge, short bridge from the city, Detroit City, to this island. And many people would go there on weekends, especially late at night, for partying, Kali Yuga activities. So there was this horrible case of an 18-year-old girl she was going to this island, driving her car alone, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning, but still, there was bumper-to-bumper traffic on the bridge, because everyone was going there, to drink and party and this and that and the other. So 1 o'clock in the morning, bumper-to-bumper traffic on this bridge from the city to this island in the middle of the river. And because the traffic was bumper-to-bumper, her car just tapped the car in front of her. And the guy jumped out of the car enraged and pulled her out of her car and tossed her over the side of the bridge. And she couldn't swim, and horribly, she drowned. So there was a big outrage. What's become of the city? How has this happened? And who did such an abominable thing? And poor, innocent 18-year-old girl. Of course, the whole incident was horrible. But no one raised an essential question, which is what?
What was she doing?
Exactly. No newspaper raised that point. What was she doing out there at 1 o'clock in the morning going to this place? Her parents didn't raise the question. The media didn't raise the question. In other words, she misused her independence. She put herself in a vulnerable situation. Yes, it's horrible what happened to her, but what is she doing there in the first place? So this is Krishna's point in Bhagavad-gita. What are you doing in material nature in the first place? But we accept that being in material nature is our natural habitat. And while we are embedded within material nature, within a material body, God should be good to us. When indeed, Krishna is saying, get out of there. But we want to enjoy while in material nature. In these fragile bodies, in very precarious material situations, we want to be the enjoyer. And we glorify religion only when it guarantees us material prosperity. This prosperity, so-called dharma, affects all the religious systems of the world, not just Christianity. But you'll find in India also. Give me Lakshmi, Lakshmi, Lakshmi in a house by the sea. Jai Jagadisha Hari. In America, they have prosperity Christianity. Anyone familiar with that?
Yeah.
Jesus was no poor man. He took your place in poverty so that you could take his place in prosperity. Oh, they've got it down. What happened, according to the Bible, when Jesus was born? Wise men from the east brought him gold. That shows you what. The Lord wants his followers to prosper. Wealth is a symptom of God's blessings upon you. So, unfortunate persons are attracted to that. If there's going to be religion, it should help me to enjoy this material world better. When you'll find at the end of this 18th chapter, what does Krishna say? Sarva dharma prityaja. Abandon all your concocted dharma and take the real dharma, which is whatever I say. Shut down your plan-making factory and take up my plan. That is surrender. So acknowledging the ultimate sanctioner, that ultimate factor of the five, that's not easy for many. Therefore, Krishna is giving this explanation in Bhagavad Gita. In the next verse, Tatraivam satikataram Atmanam kevalam tuyaha. Pashat yakrita buddhitan nasa pashati dormati. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Purport. A foolish person cannot understand that the Supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. Although the material causes are the place, the worker, the endeavor, and the senses, the final cause is the Supreme, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should see not only the 4 material causes, but the supreme efficient cause as well. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the doer. So this is what it means to be blinded. You can't see things as they are. You cannot see the ultimate doer. So much pressure is there in life, pushing you to consider everything is on your shoulders. And as we said in the beginning, people can't hold up under this pressure. It's not working. They don't understand the machine that they're dealing with. The body is a machine. It's the place of action. They don't understand the senses as the instrument. They don't know what they're dealing with. Yet, they are so bombarded with material desires, lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, illusion. So naturally you would wonder, how can someone truly benefit themselves struggling with such impediments? So this is why Krishna is giving this knowledge. This knowledge is liberating. It's allowing you to see the whole picture. It's allowing you to see things as they are. So in other words, Bhagavad-gita is not just a book of a religious belief system, a collection of doctrines. It is a spiritual science that changes your vision. Bhagavad-gita is not like a catechism. You must believe this, you must believe that. Repeat after me. It is a laboratory manual for changing your perception. As Krishna explains in chapter 13. Pashanti Jnana Chakshus. Those who have this knowledge can actually see. Vimudan Anupashati. The foolish persons can't see how the soul is trying to enjoy a particular body. Same thing in the next verse in that chapter. Krishna explains that those who are not striving for self-realization, they can't see the process of accepting a body and giving it up. Just like you can see the process of accepting a new shirt and discarding that shirt. You can see that. But when it comes to the material body, people can't see it. Because of their lifestyle. According to your lifestyle, certain things you can see and certain things you can't see. In other words, knowledge, transcendental knowledge, is state-specific. According to your state of consciousness, you see certain things or you don't see certain things. This is the root of the big argument between those academics who study Bhagavad-gita and the Bhakti texts, and those acharyas who are realized and who are teaching it. from the prevalent academic point of view, what does it matter what your lifestyle is? I can read Sanskrit. Bhaktivedanta Swami reads Sanskrit. What's the difference? My lifestyle may be this, his lifestyle may be that. In other words, such persons don't accept that there's a supreme controller of perception. The last thing they would think is that Krishna can curtail your vision. He can hide himself from you. Because they don't know the 5 factors for action. They think, it's all about me looking at this text, just like it's all about you looking at the text. We're even Steven. It depends on our academic ability, that's all. There is no ultimate sanctioner. That's just Hindu folklore. Unnecessary taboos. Hindu granny taboos. I'll give you an example of how I deeply realized the significance of this. Let's see how we're doing in time. I'll tell you in 5 minutes, and then we'll take some questions. This is during my underground days behind the Iron Curtain. I was in Warsaw, Poland, a fugitive entering and leaving the country illegally. And obviously I had to be very careful. Here I was, brown-skinned in one of the palest parts of the world. But we were making that sacrifice to try and please Srila Prabhupada, organizing the underground distribution of his books. So, devotees came to me once with great news. We found a place where we can have a meeting this weekend. We can get together and hear Bhagavatam, have Kirtan, without worry. This boy's mother is going away for the weekend. And so we can have she has a big apartment, we can have it all to ourselves. Haribol! This is such a big thing, to be able to meet somewhere and talk about Krishna. So we gathered on Friday at this apartment, about 30 devotees, almost the entire group of devotees in the country at that time. And Friday night was wonderful, Saturday morning was wonderful, up until a point. So there I was giving Bhagavatam class Saturday morning in a circle of about 30 devotees in a big living room. And as I was enunciating, as Shukadev Goswami said, out of the corner of my eye I saw the front door in the hallway open. And while speaking, I was watching this real tough-looking lady enter the room. She looked like this stereotype Soviet woman, and I said, uh-oh, what's going on here? What the devotees hadn't told me was that the mother of this boy, the owner of the apartment, was an officer in the police. And she suspected that her son was doing something suspicious, so she came back prematurely. And there I am on my false passport and wanted by the KGB, and she walks in the door, and she was such a trained police officer, she just didn't walk into the room like she came in through that front door, and here we are in a circle of 30 persons. She didn't just haphazardly just enter the midst of us and, what are you guys doing here? What's happening? No, she very calmly walked in and then started with this gentleman here. 10 inches in front of his face, memorized his face, then moved to the next person, like that lady there. 10 inches in front of your face, memorizing it. Very trained, very disciplined. Immediately you knew she's the police. She went around the whole room like that, one after the other, 10 inches away from their face. And so she's coming around to me. And I was thinking, uh-oh, this is it. I definitely don't look like a local. There's no way out of this one. I'm definitely cooked. And she got to the person right next to me. Same thing, 10 inches in front of his face. And then she lifted her vision toward me. And suddenly I saw the light go out of her eyes. And when she was right in front of me, face to face, her eyes were like stone. And I was saying to myself, Hare Krishna, she doesn't see anything. She's right there. And her perception was just totally taken away. And then she came around to where Prabhu is here, sitting, and I saw the perception jump back. It came back. And she finished the circle of persons, and there was her son. She grabbed him, dragged him into the kitchen, started beating him. You're having political meetings in my home, ruining my career. Oh, mama, everything I didn't mean. Bam, bam. While she's beating him in the kitchen, out the front door. So later we met with the devotees at another location, a safe location. And I asked them, what did she say about me? They said, she never saw you. So then I realized the full import of Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishta Matismriti. Again, I'm apologizing. Krishna controls perception. That's how dependent we are, how tiny we are. By Krishna's will, as a Supersoul, he took away this lady's powers of perception. Although she's 10 inches in front of my face, she couldn't see. So that is an example about, indeed, there are 5 factors for every action. And ultimately, it's the Supersoul that decides. Sanctions. This is how tiny we are. But a foolish person can understand how the Supersoul, as we read in text 16, a foolish person cannot understand that the Supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. The final cause is the Supreme Personality Godhead. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the doer. All right, any questions? Yes.
So how to channel anxiety for, I remember you said you gave this talk at temple that how to channel anxiety.
How to thrive on anxiety?
How to thrive on anxiety.
Use anxiety to propel you into solving the ultimate questions of life. Anxiety is nature's way of letting you know you're driving up the wrong road. But if you're a materialist, you take anxiety to mean, I'm not enjoying in the right way. When actually, anxiety is letting you know you're not the enjoyer. You're meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. So take anxiety as nature's gift of letting you know you're climbing up the wrong tree, driving up the wrong road. As Prahlad Maharaj told his father, Hiranyakashipu, Tat sadhu manye suyavarya dehinam sadasamad vigya dhyama sadgrahat. Anyone who identifies with the body as the self must be in anxiety. That's Prahlad's message to his father. Of course, his father didn't take it seriously at all. What is this nonsense my son is speaking? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I was thinking a bunch of things while you were talking about anxiety and burdens. And, you know, recently, what's been on my mind is this, I don't know if anyone knows, but there's been like this assassination of this black leader in African-American culture. His name was Nipsey Hussle, like that's his name, right? And so...
You never listened to him, right?
No.
Okay.
But I understand what he represented. He was someone who showed another path, who granted knowledge to those to a certain group of a subculture group of people who needed someone to.
What was the knowledge? I'm not aware. What was the valuable knowledge he was imparting?
He was imparting knowledge about another way of food consciousness, mindfulness. He was teaching Dr. Sebi's work, who's like someone of South American descent, who was curing holistically cancers and all kinds of things, showing like certain foods make certain illnesses in the body and whatever else, right? So my point is, so here you were talking about anxieties and burdens, and I see that, you know, growing up Christian, we Christians have always used the devil as the scapegoat, saying whenever something bad happened, oh, the devil, you know, he's get off my back, right?
Devil made me do it.
Right. So then the good thing about the Vedas is the Vedas show you that whatever is happening, this is karma, and Krishna is being merciful because I deserve much worse, right?
A devotee will think that, yes.
Yes, this is what I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying is that sometimes it may be easier to imagine that the devil is on your back, especially when you see black leaders being shot. You know, it may be just easier to take it in this way. Although the perceptions that I have received in my little time of pursuing bhakti has helped me liberate myself in many ways and understand that there are higher reasons for many things. But when you're on a ground level, to say, it may be easier to think like, this is the devil's work. You know, they're trying to massacre my people. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Malcolm X. You know what I mean?
Well, since you asked if I know what you mean, let me answer. Everyone's being shot all over the world. Why you focus on one group? Okay, there's suffering there, but there's suffering throughout the world. Why not think of the suffering of all humanity? And why just humanity? Why not suffering of all the animals that are being slaughtered? So the bhakti yogi has that kind of wide vision, comprehensive vision, to see the suffering of all living entities. Why just stop with one group? My family, I'm concerned about the suffering of my mother, father, brothers, and sisters. Then you say, you widen it, but I'm concerned with the suffering of my ethnic group. You widen it, I'm concerned with the suffering of human beings in the whole country. You widen it, I'm concerned with human suffering on an international scale. It's not big enough. What about the suffering of all living entities? How do you get to the roots of that? That is what the most intelligent person does. How to get to the root of the problem. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad-gita? I'm the seed-giving father of all living entities. No matter how you group yourself in these temporary artificial divisions, Krishna says, I'm the seed-giving father. Not only of human beings, but all creatures. You came from your mother's womb. What about the worms that were in the womb with you? They're your brothers and sisters. Are you concerned about them? No. So the bhakti vision expands your concept of concern.
But the anxiety, Maharaj, the anxiety also expands. You
Anxiety.
Know? Not in bhakti, but in situations, and as in Kali Yuga, as time is proceeding and things are getting worse. And like you were saying about USA, is, we're the most anxious people, right? The anxiety is only growing,
So what are you going to do about it?
Right. So I mean, I don't know. I really don't. But I can feel it. And
But you have to do something about it.
Listen, I keep my head low when I walk past police. I just go the other way. This is the anxiety that's here. And
If it's not that anxiety, it'll be another anxiety. So why you just focus on one type? If it's not that, it'll be something else. Be broad-minded. See the whole picture. It's material nature. As Krishna says, Karanam guna sangasa. The cause is material nature. But meanwhile, we're busy blaming this one, this group, that group. Who is blaming material nature? It's material nature that's shafting you. But you get the blame because you put your head on the chopping block. You understand? By identifying with the body, by trying to be the enjoyer and controller, you put your head on the chopping block. So you get the blame. Although the oppressor is material nature. Did you ask to get older?
when I was younger, yes.
What about now?
No, I just wanted to stop. Actually.
Right. Just see. Oppression. Did you ask to be a girl?
No.
Did you ask for the particular family you were born in? It's forced on you. When your hormones changed when you were 12, did you ask for that? Wasn't life simpler before that?
Oh, yeah.
So, material nature is forcing you. So that's the real oppression. What are you going to do about that? So where is the rap singer that's going to help you with that? Nipsey, whatever. Nipsey, tipsy, whatever. Sorry he was executed, as you say, but where's the hero who can save you from material nature?
Right.
You may stop cancer, but then along comes Prancer. You stop this disease, and then along comes that disease's grandchild. It just goes on and on because it's material nature.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about that? Huh? So if you're smart, you figure this out. That's the purpose of the knowledge Krishna is giving in Bhagavad-gita. So don't get hung up in these immediate causes. The police in this city, or what happened to this one or that one. These are all immediate causes. What's the ultimate factor? Oppression by material nature. So the yogi understands that and wants to be free from exploitation by material nature.
Thank you.
You remember that?
It's being recorded, so I can always rewatch it. It's
Okay.
pretty deep stuff, Maharaj.
Deep is basic Bhagavad-gita. This is chapter 2, Bhagavad-gita. You're not the body. You think you're exempt from that?
No. You can read something, but then you have to apply it. You have to learn how to apply it, and this is true understanding. So it can take a very long time.
Why? Why a long time?
I don't know.
You want it to take a long time? It'll take a long time. Yes.
I think it's difficult for some, in some ways, to recognize the ways that karma apply in the real world, because there are like groups of people that seem to be targeted as less fortunate than others, and so like, how do you reconcile that with karma? You like, it's because they're like less, they're like bad karma or something like that.
There'll always in this world be those materially more fortunate and those materially less fortunate. There'll always be that. That doesn't justify exploitation. It's just recognizing the fact. You see, as Bhagavatam explains, in order to give you facility to be the Lord, to be the controller, there has to be someone weaker than you. And to give others a facility to be the controller and the Lord, there has to be someone stronger than you. So there'll always be these gradations so that everyone can fulfill their desire to be the controller. Meanwhile, they're also controlled by others. You see? So if you understand that, you save yourself a lot of unnecessary grief. There'll always be that. Because living entities have this desire to be the controller and enjoyer. So there'll be someone weaker than you, so you can fulfill your desire to be the controller. And then there'll be someone stronger than you, and they'll act out their controlling capacities on you. So how to get free from this whole entrapment? That's the intelligent thing. People need education in this. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was wondering if you can talk a little more about anxiety and depression and mental health issues in the workplace. And I mention that because I work in direct services and we see a lot of what is called secondary trauma. And we often are, my workplace brings specialists to come and talk to us about secondary trauma. And I think that the solutions that are being given are very temporary. And so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how to help others in a professional setting to overcome that sort of trauma in a more permanent way.
What are those solutions being offered?
Usually it's carved time for yourself.
Mindfulness training.
Yeah. Work-life balance. Nobody's teaching about detachment. Nobody's teaching about,
Right, because research has shown that with the mindfulness training, be more mindful about your material life, that reduces absenteeism at the workplace. It increases cooperation and increases productivity. So yes, companies are investing. Have mindfulness sessions, please, please. Don't question the whole materialistic enterprise. Just be mindful about your job. Krishna is teaching the real mindfulness. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Mammana bhava madbhakto. Majaji mam namaskar. Otherwise, simply being mindful of this, mindful of that. What is really supposed to be on your mind? We want Krishna and Krishna's service to be on our mind. So yes, you're right to point out that these measures will not solve the problem. These temporary, external, superfluous measures won't work. Sometimes devotees say that all this emphasis on mindfulness has made people more open to hearing about spiritual knowledge. Okay, if that's the case. But the buzz is starting to wear off. When I was speaking at Temple University last week at University of Pennsylvania, I made a few jokes about mindfulness, and everyone laughed. It's becoming passé. It's like, the buzz is starting to wear off that this is going to solve everyone's problems. So I just would make jokes about it, like, okay, so you breathe in and you breathe out and you focus on your incoming breath and your outcoming breath. Now what? And everyone just laughed. It's a fad. At the same time, I gave it credit. I said, look, anything that helps you guys to chill out for even a few moments, we support. It's like dealing with a naughty child. Sit in the corner, stop smearing ketchup all over the walls, sit in the corner for at least 5 minutes. Something, but it's not the real solution.
But I guess I'm wondering how could I assist my colleagues, for example, who are not practicing bhakti, because I'm fortunate enough to have found a way to protect me from secondary trauma and to deal with it. But how can I help those who have not started this process yet?
Every workplace is different, but at least show by your example that there's another lifestyle possible. You may not be able to directly at your workplace say, you should read Bhagavad-gita, you should do this or that, but let them see by your example. Let those who want to see by your example. Oh, why are you different? I'll give you an example. Final example, because we've got to stick to our schedule here. This is at a time when, at the airports, this is maybe 5 years ago, anyone wearing robes, they would, after you went through the metal detector, they would then want to pat you down in public, you know, full pat down. I guess they have much stronger machines now, but that time they didn't. So I got tired of being right in public in front of 300 people. So I and the devotee traveling with me, we were wearing regular clothes, so I wouldn't get patted down. And so we didn't have any devotional markings on at all, no devotional attire. And so we went through security, but there was something in my bag that the what do you call them? TSA wanted to check the bag. So they, hey guys, can you please come here and can we go through your bag? So he checked it out. It was all fine, of course. And then the devotee and I turned to walk away and said, excuse me, can you tell me one thing? What are you guys so happy about? We were just being ourselves, but he did say, why are you guys so happy? Can you tell me? So that's an example for how. It also happened to me. I was coming from London, and last month I landed. I had to change planes in Detroit, and I figured, oh, it's the Midwest. I don't know. You know, I'll just wear regular clothes because I had to clear customs and immigration in Detroit. And it's not like New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco where they used to seeing all kinds of exotic sights. You know, it's Detroit, you know. So I was wearing regular clothes. And the last checkpoint, I was about to walk out the doors into the hallway, clearing the last checkpoint. And a customs immigration guy comes up to me with a big smile on his face. Excuse me, but I gotta stop you because you look so different. What are you into? I told him, I'm a monk. He said, I knew there was something different, you know. Don't mind, I had to stop you. What's going on, you know? What do you do? So it's hard for a devotee to hide. Some people can see it right away. All right. Time for Kirtan. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So how do we have Kirtan here?
Well, if you would be happy to lead the Kirtan, we would be happy.
All right. So just right where I am is fine.
Sure.
What do you do?
If you're well, Hare Krishna has a harmonium. If you'd like, he can accompany you on that, unless you'd like to play it.
No, he's fine.
And you can sit there, or you know, whatever.
Okay.
If any devotees feel like they're happy where they're sitting, that's fine. But there's space up here too, if you'd like to get close for the Kirtan.
Please, yes. Please give us the benefit of your presence. Front row seats are more expensive.
Extra prasadam and closer up.
Yeah.